growth and success. Thriving Women's mission is to inspire our viewers to thrive, not just survive. Let's take a moment and introduce your Thrive Tribe. Noel Ramos, investment coach from Atlanta, Georgia. Sabrina Protic, author and life coach from Tampa Bay, Florida. Stacy Pesaw, life coach from Palm Harbor, Florida. Gina Marie Casano, transformational coach from Bayville, New York. Dr. Lita J. Harris, gynecologist from Corona, California. Whitney Hartford, social media influencer from Miami, Florida. Genesis Haycrick, workflow coach from Sarasota, Florida. Brianna Johnson, financial coach from Chicago, Illinois. Sylvia Camacho, financial coach from La Habra, California. Let's get ready to be empowered, and here's your Thrive Tribe. Thriving Women Talk is powered by the Trendsetters Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship on Facebook.
All right.
Awesome.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to season 2 of Thriving Women Talk. My name is Gina Marie Casano, streaming live with the Thrive Tribe from across the globe. Our mission each week is to engage with our co-hosts and guests on enlightening topics to encourage and empower our viewers to thrive, not just survive, by becoming the best version of themselves. And so today we have an important topic to unpack: the rise of teen suicide in America. A report released on last week by the Center of Disease Control and Prevention states the rate of suicide among those ages 10 to 24 increased nearly 60% between 2007 and 2018. Another CDC survey was released back in August on how COVID-19 pandemic is affecting Americans' mental health, and found that 75% of respondents ages 18 to 24 reported at least one adverse mental or behavioral health symptom. 25% of respondents in this age group seriously considered suicide in the 30 days before completing the survey. Let's just pause for a minute and think about that. 25% seriously considered ending their life within 30 days before this survey. Wow. Experts say stretchers such as climate change, which is found to have roughly the same effect on suicides as an economic recession, has become increasingly concerning for young people. Fear of school shootings and the prohibitive cost of college may also be factors. Many children, experts say, are struggling to imagine their futures, what it would be like, what it could be like, what is even possible. And so we decided to do our part and help save a life by bringing on a guest who has an impactful story to share. We invited Dawn Quigley McClure, certified health and life transformation coach, to the show to share her story of going from surviving to thriving after the tragic death of her son by suicide in May of 2017. Dawn's story will empower us to take the necessary steps to ask the right questions, to do our own research and be aware of the signs. It is our call to action that after this show, every one of our viewers and guests and co-hosts reach out to someone that you love and check in and say, hey, how are you doing? How are you thriving? Sabrina, you've done some research. Would you share with our viewers why this topic is so important during the pandemic?
Yes, Gina, thank you so much. This topic is critical. And I had no idea until I did do my research that it impacts every household. If not your direct household, a friend, a cousin, a relative. I'm sure somewhere within your realm of people, you know someone, a teen or someone who's committed suicide. What I learned is it has no boundaries. It has no age. You're never too young. Some of the pictures I saw were just children. You know, we're talking 6 and 7 years old. I mean, You wouldn't even think that there would be things that would disturb them. But the greatest thing that I learned in the research is that there are warning signs, Gina. There are things that we see every day. We just need to pay attention to the warning signs. Be more proactive than reactive and take an interest in our children's lives, our family members. Listen, they're giving us clues. They're giving us clues, Gina. And this is what I learned in my research. And we will unpack this today as we further delve into some of the personal stories that we've heard that have occurred that will help us all take a second look at those family members around us.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Just a quick comment. A few years back when I had coached a small group for teens, some of the things that came up around their stress was anxiety. And the biggest anxiety besides overwhelm was fear of those school shootings and feeling unsafe. And so what they were sharing with me is the school would do a drill, right? A shooting safety drill. And then once the drill was over, everyone would go back to work and back to school as if nothing happened. And these kids, the central nervous system is in shock. And so that is a big challenge from what I've seen firsthand. So thank you for sharing. Also, we want to acknowledge that February is Black History Month, and Thriving Women has decided to enlighten our viewers on African American men and women that have dedicated their life to serving others from the past and through the present. Last week, we honored Madam C.J. Walker, and this week we are honoring a Chicago native who has served his community for the last 35 years teaching, mentoring, coaching, and empowering the citizens of Chicago to embrace the culture, history, and language of art. The Thrive Tribe would like to recognize Derek Clemens, founder of Southworks Artist Group, in his lifetime achievement of advancing art.
Thank you, Gina. And I'd further like to talk about him. Southwork Artist Group founder, Derek Clemens, had a mission, and that was to continue to provide artistic inspiration to open, challenge public spaces, what we consider even small spaces, to encourage intelligence, dialogue through cultural symbols, and direct positive messages. Derek wants business corridors and neighborhoods to work together to improve the appearance of living. Southwork Artist Group encourages and works with dedicated young people in the process of community engagement and positive influence. Derek's passion for art started over 35 years ago after attending Columbia College and studying the abstract influences of de Kooning, Basquiat, and Jacob Lawrence and Stuart Davis paintings, canvases, and semi-cubic abstraction and some expressionist elements. Now, I know that's a mouthful, but let me just break it down. Abstract art, okay? That's what we're saying here. I love abstract art. I've always been attracted to it, so this is right in my element and right in my space. In the early 80s, he spent time in Europe on a photographic excursion in the Seas for Cultural Focus. Derek credits his father and writer, poet, featured in various publications for his creative insight. He started early in drawings in his environment and took a particular interest in nature. We really honor him and celebrate him for bringing this abstractness to our lives. Stacy.
Yes. I was able to take a look at some of his work. I pulled it up and I love the abstract. I totally agree with you, Sabrina. So he actually had some canvas work in 1994 that started out with really great success, but he had a desire for doing standalone pieces. So I guess he tried his hand at wood sculptures and really refined his techniques. And then his work was later heralded by collectors in Chicago and other states. And he had kind of a hieroglyphic-like symbolism, kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of narrative kind of style. And then in 2015, he began the Metropolis sculptures with subjects of humans inhabiting concrete structures, kind of acting out dramas, moving about in their ambient light atmospheres, and really kind of, had this controversy and question. In fact, Derek states, everything about it was fascinating, questionable, and at times exciting. On the surface of his work, symbols of what appear to be humans interacting with each other in kind of a theater of cartoonish kind of scandal, and had this subject of endless commentary. So it's really, really interesting work. And currently his work has taken new direction with rooted interest in community outreach projects and programs that focus on youth and their ability to express themselves publicly with art. And he has challenged his hand at a new sculpture that is more structural, anthropomorphic, and culturally present. It's like a mouthful, but that's amazing. I absolutely love that he's taking this to youth. My daughter does some artwork, and I know it's just so, so helpful. So just fascinating. I'm so excited about this. We've got Brianna, and I know, Brianna, you're going to be talking to us about honoring February because of Black History Month.
Yes, so in honor of February being Black History Month, the Thrive Tribe has dedicated to affirm Derek Clemens for his dedication and commitment to enlightening and encouraging his students, community, and clients to become students of art by creating outreach programs in the great city of Chicago to empower young people to express themselves with the influence of arts and also sculpture. So welcome to Thriving Women Talk, Derek. How are you?
Hello, ladies. How are you doing? Doing well. Appreciate being here. Thank you so much for the accolades. I do appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing your gifts with the community. It's a great honor to be with you, especially in honor of Black History Month. So, we heard the show has not stopped falling.
Yeah, it's coming down. In fact, it was quite an effort to try to be at this interview, but I said it was really worth it. And so I dug my way through.
Absolutely. And that's what it's about, perseverance, continuing to push through. Now, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to enlighten our viewers on the work that you're doing here in Chicago. I'm here with you, and it's a great deal of snow, but we're going to warm it up here. And one of our co-hosts, Whitney, she has a few of your pictures that she wants to share and just get, your comments on these pictures.
Sure. Okay, absolutely.
Hi, Derek. It's so nice to have you with us.
Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I am so glad that we have you on the show. And these pictures, they illustrate the empowering work you are doing in Chicago. And in honor of you, we really want to show these pictures to inspire our viewers. And we want to get a little bit of information behind these pictures. So we're going to jump into, I think this is like your family, the first picture below, right? Is this a group of your family?
Well, in a sense, actually, young students from a particular school that I did after school programming with. I was very active with programming prior to COVID. And those are some of the students that are very happy to have had their art class. In fact, it was wonderful to get letters and drawings from them showing their appreciation for the fun that we had during that time.
How inspiring, how inspiring. And below us, we have our first actual picture. And the picture, the question with that is, why is the subject of art so important for children, especially during the pandemic?
Well, as was said before with Ms. Protic, and it's really a very stressful time. Even prior to the pandemic, children needed a lot of assistance in helping them to see the world in ways that are creative, productive. And in this particular image, this young boy, he's part of a group session at the Museum of Contemporary Art. This was a program on the weekends. And I was there doing special drawing, helping them to do special abstract expressions on tar paper. And we had a little chat, and he did a really great job.
Oh, that's so sweet. And let's go to picture number 2. Picture number 2, we are going to go ahead and ask the question while they bring up the picture. And the question is, how is your organization impacting young women in Chicago with the expressions of art?
I am particularly interested in working with young women. I had such a wonderful time in a school program, an after-school program named Sky Art in my community. And from that point on, I decided that in my studio, I would teach young women based on the success I had with even preschool kids and using tools to create art as well. And so they increase their skill set. And here, there's a young lady I'm already recently bringing into my space, and we're having an introductory session on using tools to produce art through knowing how those tools work and getting them empowered to be able to do the things that boys did and that, young men did. They can do it too. And so it's obvious as she's doing a great job, and I look forward to further working with her on some additional procedures and projects that'll improve her work as well as help me in projects that come down the way.
Wow, how inspiring. It sounds like a kind of help me, help you project, and
Yes.
and to push ladies along and say, hey, you could do what guys do, and you can, this could be your passion.
Yes.
Let's show picture number 3. And when they bring that up, why is your organization taking abandoned buildings and stores and painting affirmations to inspire the community?
Well, resources are short in those communities, unfortunately. And so the buildings, the owners, the land owners, they pull out and wait for something to happen. In the meantime, you have buildings that are like discarded canvases. And those areas where art can go can cover those buildings and bring a certain aesthetic to communities that really need the inspiration. And so we did a project I think it was around 2015, 16, where we put up these very signages and art pieces that had different affirmational sayings to cause people to stop and ponder and think about their lives and think about their environment around them. And so that was under the Coco Mocha banner some time ago, working with a Miss Castillo and Miss Lara, and had a great time. And it was quite effective. People came by and in the community, they thought, wow, this is really an important thing to do, to give people some positive reinforcement.
Right. And, as you are using the buildings, you're using them for a purpose. And you also have people stopping and saying, hey, what's that? Oh, that's really cool. So what a way to add to the community. And we really, really appreciate that. I think we're going to go to picture number 4. Wait for that to come up. And as we go into picture number 4, how are you mentoring and coaching young Black men to express themselves in other ways to empower our youth?
Well, in this picture, this scene here, we're covering another abandoned building. And so this is just something which these young men, and their fathers, in fact, when we got a father in there, they came together and assisted me in putting up these hieroglyphical symbologies of various culture in that community. And this really inspires them. They, 2 or 3 of them actually have worked in my studio. I have a couple of men, young men, who are working regularly and have actually been trained well enough to use tools, put up installations of panels on businesses. And so they're paid based on the contract and the type of work they do. And it's been a wonderful experience. They have been inspired to do some of their own project work, and they're gaining this sense of community as they work in the community, putting up these various facades as well as art displays. And so in this case, we had a wonderful afternoon doing that together. And yeah, it definitely works when you reach out, when you connect with our young men. It gives them a sense of pride and a sense of ownership. And it literally helps cut the suicide rate, if you think about it. It gives them something to look forward to, and also that the adults care about their input.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I love what you're doing for the community. I love that you're paving the way for men as well, and the youth, because there's so much misdirection nowadays, giving them art, something to invest their time in and to have a purpose is absolutely amazing. I know we have one more picture. We're going to go ahead and go to picture number 5. When they bring that up, I want to know, tell us about your 2021 vision and how can we follow suit?
Well, I'm working along with the Chicago Public Art Group, as well as responding to proposals from the Department of Cultural Affairs and community events. I've been with a few organizations where I've built up some relationships. And what is happening for the spring and the summer is I have public art projects, one of which looks to be implemented very soon this summer. A second one, we're waiting on the finality of the proposal, the acceptance. It has to do with public art, of which youth artists can assist and then add something to that artwork, which then is displayed, and then they feel again a sense of ownership and participation and pride in the collective workmanship of that piece. I look forward to working with other artists. There's another artist, Roman Villarreal. I call his name out. He's a Mexican artist in the community that I live in. And we're working together, along with a few others, to assist in putting up art expression in a strong way in communities, particularly on the southeast side of Chicago, where there's definitely a need for public display and cultural pride, and giving a firmness to people's minds and their hearts, as well as far as knowing that there's intelligence there, that there are people that do care and that want to make a cultural statement that lasts. And so that's what's happening this year. I'm producing a series called Joy of Being, and that's encouraging some of my youth artists to consider their own series along those lines. And so those are some of the things that are happening that are proceeding on the public artwork, and trying to work with youth so that they can be involved in that process.
That's so inspiring, and I really, really am glad to see you feeling a need for the community and for the youth. That's so needed, because after all, they're going to be the next generation, to fill our shoes, and we need some great leaders out there. So I really, really, really appreciate speaking with you and hearing about what you've been able to do for our youth. And I think Gina wanted to maybe also comment and make some information or ask you about also what you do as well.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Ms. Harper. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you both so much. Wow, Derek, thank you for sharing your passion and your purpose with the Thrive Tribe and all our viewers from across the world. It's so creative and inspiring, and your passion is easily distinguishable. And so I just wanted to thank you for being here. I think that there should be more people like you coaching and mentoring teens on their passion and their purpose and their vision. So I think that's really important what you're doing, and I love it. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Welcome. Right now we're going to take a brief sponsor break, and when we come back, we'll introduce our hot topic.
Thriving Women. Thriving Women is sponsored by the Trendsetter Mentor Group, an exclusive membership for mentorship. TMG is an exclusive Facebook mentoring membership for thriving entrepreneurs with a culture of caring and sharing. TMG's mission is mentoring, inspiring, and empowerment. And if you're a thriving entrepreneur and inspired to surround yourself with like-minded peak performers, join TMG's exclusive membership group on Facebook by sending a members request to the Trendsetter Mentor Group. We are your membership for mentorship. Back to Thriving Women Talk.
Rising TikTok star Dazaria Schaefer, known online as Dee, died on February 8, 2021 at the age of 18. Her father announced the news on TikTok 2 days later with a slideshow of past and current photos of his daughter. He wrote, "I just want to thank everyone for their love and support of my daughter. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us and has gone to a better place." The social media star had posted a series of videos to her Instagram story a day prior to her death and even wrote "last post" with a teary-eyed emoji. Dazaria had quite the following on her various social media accounts, including more than 103,000 subscribers on her YouTube channel, where she went by the name Baby Girl D, 1.7 million followers on TikTok, and 166,000 followers on her main Instagram page. She would often post videos of herself dancing to songs, share daily life vlogs, and attempt to complete viral internet challenges. Dazaria's mother confirmed the news of her passing in a post on Facebook, writing, "I'm so heartbroken. I really can't believe you're going. I wish I was waiting on you to say it was a prank, but it's not. R.I.P. my angel. Everyone talks about our bad times, but never talks about the good times." Following his daughter's death, Dazaria's father Rahim Allah created a memorial GoFundMe page. He also went into more detail about her sudden passing, writing, "On February 8th, my daughter Dazaria left us early. She was my little best friend, and I wasn't prepared to bury my child. She was so happy and would be so excited to see me when I come home from being on the road." Allah then hinted at the underlying mental health issues, which ultimately led her to end her own life. He wrote, "I only wish she would have spoken to me about her stress and the thoughts of suicide. We could work through this. I only want to hold you again, my little jelly bean. I have to let you fly with the angels." The East Baton Rouge Parish Coroner's Office confirmed to People magazine that Dazaria did in fact die by suicide. Following the news of her death, fans took to social media to pay tribute to the young TikTok star. One user wrote, "You are no longer enduring the pain or suffering. I'm so sorry, beautiful. May you rest in paradise, Dazaria, and know you will be missed." Another said, "I love her so much. She had a beautiful spirit. May she rest in peace. She was so beautiful. She was my favorite TikToker. She's the best." Other users pointed out that being quarantined due to the coronavirus pandemic isn't easy for many and has taken a toll on people's mental health. One fan posted, "So many teens are committing suicides and so many are dying of COVID-19. No way out of it." Another fan on Twitter reminded others that being a star on social media can be a lot of pressure, even if the individual makes it look easy. Indeed, several studies have found a link between depression and social media use. Dazaria didn't have the easiest upbringing. Her mom had issues with drugs at one point, and she didn't meet her biological father until 2020. Nonetheless, she seemed to truly enjoy sharing her life on social media and often reminded her fans how thankful she was for them. She also had a thriving beauty and clothing business called D Beauty Outlet, where she sold lipsticks, false eyelashes, t-shirts, and more. Dazaria even posted a photo on Instagram of herself filling orders in December 2020, in which she admitted she was swamped with orders, but was super happy about it regardless. She wrote, "I just opened yesterday, and I was surprised by how many orders I've gotten. Thank y'all so much for supporting me and my business." Tragically, her internet fame and the newfound relationship with her biological father was only part of Desaria's story. Our deepest condolences go out to her family, friends, and fans. If you or someone you know is having suicidal thoughts, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK-8255 or text HOME to the crisis text line at 741-741.
That really does touch you, doesn't it? To see that story unfold and countless other stories. Genesis, can you weigh in on that?
Absolutely. Wow, that is very, very powerful. What a beautiful girl. And it just goes to show you that there is so much more that goes on behind the scenes of things that we just don't know. So no matter where people are at, no matter what they're doing, it is so important to check in, as some of us have mentioned prior. I wanted to also welcome everyone back to the show and just share a little bit about suicide. And that is that it is such a serious public health problem among all age groups. So it's not just the youth, but all age groups. Among youth, it exacts an enormous toll due to the significant years of potential life loss. In 2017, there were more than 6,200 suicide deaths among adolescents and young adults ages 15 through 24, making it the second leading cause of death for that age group. Youth suicidal ideation, attempt, and contemplation are on the rise. Far more adolescents have suicidal thoughts or attempt suicide and survive than those who die by suicide. Results from the 2019 Youth Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System show that in the past year, 18.8% of high school students seriously considered attempting suicide, and 8.9% attempted. That's too high of a number. It's too high, and we need to be doing more. And I just want to say that this, is very near and dear to my heart, this topic. I am taken back to the time when I was 11 years old and I lost my cousin, who was almost like my sister. And she committed suicide when she was 15, right before her 16th birthday. And it affected the entire community. I'll never forget at her funeral when there were lines of people wrapped around the block. And just reminds me, and should remind us all, that one person can have such a significant influence on so many, and yet they may not realize it. So I just wanted to say, for anyone that has experienced this, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry for what you have been through. And I want to encourage those of you that are listening in today to reach out to someone and to just say hello, to let them know that you care, to give a hug, to give a high five. And don't let somebody pass you on the street without you giving them a smile. And I know that Brianna would like to have a little perspective on this as well. Could you share some of your thoughts, Brianna? Absolutely. This is disheartening, but it's reality, right? I know that every child goes through their adversities, but unfortunately, some individuals aren't as strong as others, and that is what's coming to light. I know as a child, for me personally, my mom, she saved all of our letters, and recently, about a month ago, I might start crying, you guys, but as a child, I used to write my parents letters, basically letting them know that I felt invisible. Like, hey, from your invisible daughter, I probably don't mean, much to you. And as I read those letters, it started to resonate some of the feelings that I had as a child. And it just goes to show that we go through things. We all go through things as we get older. But I feel like communication is the key. And love conquers all. So you just have to stay connected. As parents, there is no manual for how to be a parent, right? And my mom, she apologizes to me a lot. And I'm just like, you know what? I totally forgive you. It's nothing that you've done wrong, because there is not a manual on how to be a parent. So, and it's just right now, I feel like social media has heightened this, right? As a child, I never knew anything about committing suicide. And I'm grateful for that, because I probably would have, I don't know, like at that point in time, Googled how to go about it, or just seen different posts on social media on how to go about it. But time heals all, love conquers everything. So just reach out, be kind. You never know what a person is going through, and everything on the outer surface does not mean all is well. So take that into consideration. Seriously.
Thank you so much for those perspectives on that, Brianna and Genesis. It is heart-wrenching, but yet these are the things that must be discussed. There are risk factors associated with suicide among adolescents. Ooh, some of these things, they're straight to the point. These are considered psychiatric disorders. They're major depressive. They can be considered bipolar. The conduct and substance abuse and use disorders are involved. Psychiatric, now this is a word, comorbidity, especially the combination of mood disruptives and substance abuse disorders. Notice the combination of things with the mindset, with some substances. These are all things that go hand in hand when we see these things. Family history of depression or suicide, loss of a parent in death or divorce, physical or sexual abuse, lack of support or support network, feelings of social isolation and bullying. Even when you're on social media and you got thousands and thousands and thousands of followers, you can still be lonely and feel alone. You can still feel isolated. And let us not forget the social media bullying, the public bullying. The prevalence of attempting suicide amongst adolescents is higher in females compared to that of males. Now, that's the attempted suicide. But then listen at these numbers. Though males are more likely to die by suicide, non-Hispanic Black high schoolers over non-Hispanic white high schoolers, students who are identified as being gay, lesbian, or bisexual compared with students who identified as heterosexual. These are alarming statistics, but let's think about this. In particular, I'm thinking about the girls that attempt suicide. Women, the female character is one where we have to communicate. We drop a lot of clues. Unlike males who, they still have that tough exterior. They may not be sharing as much as maybe females. So when these females attempt suicide, often it's a cry for help. Often it's like, I want to do this, but I don't want to do this. And so they may even drop more clues than their male counterparts. And that is why the male actual suicide death rate is higher. So we've got some insight onto some of these things that are going on. As I stated, I watched a video about this, and I actually saw a counselor who was experienced in this actually asked some very direct questions I would not have even thought to ask. I would have been a fish out of water for a young lady who, and this was all an enactment, so it wasn't real life, who had left some clues about, wanting to attempt suicide. And she asked some very direct questions. And a lot of them was her mental state of mind. How do you feel? Do you actually feel like committing suicide? And then here's a question. Why weren't you successful at the suicide? Why weren't you? Those are clues that this person really doesn't want to end their life, but there are some mental instabilities going on and a cry for help. So I just found these statistics to be very high. I had a classmate, talking about the gay and lesbian. They poked at the guy, said he was gay. I don't know. That was so many years ago. Was he? Wasn't he? I don't know. But he committed suicide because the kids were roughing him up. So we have a responsibility as a society to also educate our children the fact that people can be different and to not ridicule and bully those differences. I'd like to go to Sylvia. Sylvia, what are some of your thoughts and perspectives on this? Can you hear us, Sylvia?
I think she might be having a little technical.
You think she's got some technical difficulties, Stacy?
Technical issues. I'll go ahead and kind of lean in on this, and then hopefully Sylvia can get her internet working. But this is really, dear to my heart as well. And I just want to appreciate everyone that's given their personal comments. And Brianna, that what you said as far as feeling invisible. And I think that's something to really, really think about, even when you have this social media presence, just like we saw with this young lady, right? Young girl, had all of these followers, and yet still having that feeling of feeling alone. So really taking a look at, as a parent, one of the things that, I encourage other parents is to help your kids to feel heard and to feel listened to, right? They don't need you to solve it. They don't want you to fix it. They just want to feel heard and appreciated. And it's so important. And teen suicide is preventable. And prevention efforts should be aimed at all levels of influence, right? With individual or relationships, community and societal. And suicide rates for at-risk youth can be substantially reduced by knowing the signs, by starting to be able to recognize that. And 4 out of 5 suicide deaths are preceded by warning signs, such as, like we talked about, suicide threats or previous suicide attempts, or like an obsession with death or depression, or making some final arrangements. So really, it's something that we can pay attention to and take seriously. Making it's more difficult, in looking at things. There's self-harm. There's all different types of things to kind of look for. Interventions could include, removing guns from homes with at-risk youth, or having some counseling. Looking at improving access to mental health resources. And there's lots of different support groups, different help for mental disorders, and family and community support. So, I think what can happen is there can be so much shame in thinking that, it's just must be my household, because everything outside of everything looks so good, especially if you're just looking at social media. But that's really not the case. So let's take a look. It looks like Sylvia's still not able to be with us. Let's go ahead and turn it over to Whitney. I'd love to hear your thoughts, Whitney.
Yes, I mean, this whole topic of suicide awareness is very, very important, just because I don't think we really let our youth know how healthy it is to talk to counselors, how healthy it is to go seek resources. I think we're so focused on internalizing our emotions and being afraid to reach out. It's not, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. And just as a person myself, when I was growing up, through my teen years, going through hormone changes, going through just everything at school, bullying, all that stuff, I saw a counselor, because you never know what's happening in the house, and people are ashamed to see a counselor, but there's nothing wrong with getting help, utilizing your resources, resetting yourself to get yourself back on track. And I really, really agree with Stacey on looking for the warning signs. also letting your kids know it's okay, we can do this together, encouraging them they're not alone through this process, through the deep issues that they might be trying to work through, and they might need that hand of help. So that's really my perspective on it, is don't be ashamed of reaching out for your resources and counseling, whether you're a youth or an adult. And with that, I want to share with you guys some resources. One of them for our youth is youth.gov. It provides several resources that may be used to prevent youth suicides. The National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the toll-free number is 1-800-273-TALK. And they provide 24/7 confidential support for those that are in distress, and also assist with those that are going through crisis, and assist with prevention. So contact the suicide assistance number, the website youth.gov that I also told you about. We are going to go ahead and take a sponsored break, and when we come back, we will introduce our special guest to discuss with Gina teen suicide and what are the signs.
For more episodes of the Thriving Women Talk Show, visit the Mindshift Coaching Services YouTube channel and subscribe. Experience the shift with transformational coaching through Mindshift Coaching Services. Our expertise is in mindset, habit, and behavior change, providing total support and accountability. Together, we will transform your pain into power using transformational coaching method techniques to guide you towards creating a clear vision and purpose while aligning your actions with your goals. To learn more, visit mindshiftcoaching.com. Now, back to Thriving Women.
I have my ups and downs, just like anybody else.
Maybe more than anybody else.
I can be hard to figure out.
And I like my privacy. I don't want you looking over my shoulder all the time.
But you know your kid better than anybody else. And if you think he's acting different than usual...
Acting really down, crying all the time for no good reason.
Or getting really mad, not able to sleep, or sleeping too much.
Shutting her friends out or giving her stuff away.
Acting reckless, drinking, using drugs, staying out late.
Suddenly not doing stuff he used to love.
Or doing stuff that's just not like him.
It might be nothing to worry about. It might just be high school.
Or it might be something more. He might be depressed.
Not just feeling down, really depressed.
It might be that your kid is thinking about killing himself. It happens. More than you think. More than it should.
And people say, I had no idea.
I thought it was just a phase he was going through.
I never thought she'd do it.
I wish he'd come to me.
I wish he'd said something.
I wish I'd said something.
When it's too late. So if you think your kid's acting different, if she seems like a different person, say something.
Say, what's wrong? How can I help?
And ask straight out. Are you thinking about killing yourself? It doesn't hurt to ask. In fact, it helps.
When people are thinking about killing themselves, they want somebody to ask. They want somebody to care.
Maybe you're afraid you'll make it worse if you ask. Like, you'll put the idea in their head.
Believe me, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
In fact, the best way to keep a teenager from killing herself is to ask, are you thinking about killing yourself?
And what if they say yes?
Or maybe.
Or sometimes.
Well, here's what you don't say.
That's crazy.
Don't be such a drama queen.
You're making too much of this.
That boy's not worth killing yourself over.
That's not going to solve anything.
You're just trying to get attention.
You're not going to kill yourself. What you do say is,
I'm sorry you're feeling so bad. How can I help?
We'll get through this together.
Let's keep you safe.
A lot of people think about killing themselves. Adults and kids. Most of them never try it, but some of them do. So if your kid says,
I'd be better off dead.
I can't live with this.
I'm gonna kill myself. Take her seriously. Find someone she can talk to about it. Someone who knows how to help.
Sometimes kids want to kill themselves because something happened. A breakup, a failure. But sometimes it goes deeper, and it's not going to go away by itself.
Get some help. Talk to your doctor.
Or a counselor at school.
Or your minister.
But don't just let it drop.
And make sure that your kid always has someone to turn to. Someone he trusts.
Make a list together, right then. 3, 4, 5 names.
Put a suicide hotline number on there too.
Have him keep that list in his wallet, so he always knows where to turn.
Make sure your home is safe.
If you have pills she could use to hurt herself, lock them up.
If you have a gun, don't just lock it up. Get it out of the house. The bullets, too.
And one more thing. If you think your kid might be about to hurt himself, don't leave him alone.
Take him to the emergency room.
Call 911 if you have to.
We all have our ups and downs, but sometimes it's more than that.
If you think something's wrong, the only way to find out is to ask.
Ask straight out. Are you thinking about killing yourself?
Don't wait until you're sure. Trust your gut, because it never hurts to ask.
And it can make a big difference.
All the difference.
In your kid's life.
Wow. Welcome back to Thriving Women Talk. We are here today talking with Dawn Quigley McClure, who wants to share her story. Dawn, thank you so much for being here. I have the good fortune of knowing you a little bit, and you have shared some of your story, and I'm really grateful that you're here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Would you describe your son's personality in 3 words, and what was his most dominant characteristic?
That was hard to do in just 3 words. He was so much more than that. I came up with fun, adventurous, and compassionate. They asked me this at the funeral, tell us about your son. And the thing that I came up with is he had such a zest for life, which just totally contradicts everything that happened. Just very smart and picked up things very quickly. Really enjoyed living, trying new things. Has falconry permit at age 13, surfing, rock climbing, golf. I mean, and baseball, football, basketball, just very outgoing, very fun.
Yeah. What was your son's hobbies and things he enjoyed doing when he wasn't around friends and family?
Video games and his falconry were the 2 biggest things. For the most part, I was stay-at-home mom at the time. I did my work from home, so we had a lot of time together. Crafts together was fun. He did like to experiment, like science stuff, and figure out how things worked a lot on his own.
Nice. What types of books did he like to read, or did he have close friends, or maybe a girlfriend? Or
not big on books past about 12 or 13 years old. I mean, he liked Goosebumps. Magic Treehouse was a fun one we always used to read together. As far as close friends, and honestly, I think this was a big part of the problem, why he took his life, is there just weren't other close people in his life. There were other situations going on at home. His dad did not like other kids at the house, so they weren't there often. He didn't want Gary going over to anybody else's house because it could be dangerous. We didn't know these people. And when I couldn't guarantee safety, it was just declined. So we did our best to just kind of hang out and be together at home and have fun at home. He did have a girlfriend, 2 different girlfriends, when he was in middle school. He was homeschooled for the first part of his high school, but talked on the phone with them a lot, but the same situation, didn't get out to see them a lot, only in school and on the phone.
Yeah. How was his personal relationship with his father or grandparents? And did he suffer with anxiety or depression?
His relationship with his grandparents, my parents, was great. He didn't get to see them like face to face very much. They lived in California, we're in Kentucky. His grandparents on his father's side had been disowned by his father long ago, so he really didn't have a chance to know them. His relationship with his father, he loved his dad dearly. They did some things together, mostly work type stuff. There were things he would come to me about his dad. Just basically, he didn't like the way his dad talked to him, talked to me. would tell me the way he talks to us is not good. There was a lot of love in our family, but there was also control, and Gary William, my son, was just not crazy about all the control, but kept it contained, kept any anger contained. And a lot of that on my part, I would tell him, just kind of, keep it to yourself. We'll talk about it later. Do what you're told. It's better that way. I never noticed any anxiety, depression, anything like that. I mean, obviously, yes, there was depression there. He didn't show it. The video about the signs that the teens that we just saw before I came on was fabulous, because signs are not always cut and dry. Back at when it first happened, if you said, did he show any signs, I would have said no, because I didn't see anything. Right before things happened, it was when my only first concern came. But now that I've learned everything and I go back and look, there were ever so subtle signs. So it's not always great big signs, somebody saying, I want to kill myself, or I'm lonely, I hate life. You have to know your kid. And if there's changes subtle enough that it doesn't seem like your kid, but it's your kid, you need to delve further into it, because this is where I believe I missed things. I just wrote it off as, he's a teenager now, of course, he's going to have attitude. So I didn't notice any kind of mental health disorder, but there was obviously depression there, or loneliness, or, whatever you want to know, whatever you want to guess.
I know this is a lot for you, and I just want to honor your, you and your story, and to continue a little bit more with a few questions.
Yeah.
We want to hear your story, and we want to hear, about you and him, and some of the things you noticed. When you were younger, did you suffer from any sort of mental illness or thoughts or attempted suicide? And did you ever have that conversation with your son?
There were never any definite diagnosis on me. However, and then, this is something that very, very few people about me know. When I was 15, I attempted suicide. So, I mean, if it's hereditary, depression, whatever, I'm sure now that it was depression, anxiety, and I had so many emotions all over. But, basically over a guy, got in a fight, broke up, and my emotions were just too much. I didn't know what to do. And, I don't think about what's this going to do to my parents, my family, whatever. All I was thinking about at the time is, oh my God, I just want to die. And so I ran out to the pool, and I jumped in a deep end. I exhaled all my breath, and I'd been screaming and crying. And I just decided, that's it, I'm going to do this. And as I got ready, I opened up my mouth and started to inhale, and I looked up as I did, and I could see my brother through the water at the side of the pool. And it hit me. It's like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? And I just pushed with my legs. I jetted to the top, and he was there at the side. Mom and Dad weren't home. It was just after school one day. And, like I said, my parents are watching this. My brother and his family's probably watching this. This is not something I've told people really. And I got a little lost on the question there. I'm so sorry. Can you repeat it again?
Yeah. This is everything that you're sharing. We just want to hear from your experience, from your heart. If you had ever had those thoughts, which you shared, and if there were any conversations that came up as a parent, because you may have had, you had those thoughts early on.
I talked with Gary a lot, gosh, from age 11, 12 on. the things he would start experiencing come puberty. And as he got older, you know, the anger, the emotions, all of this stuff. I confided in him about my suicide attempt. I did not get into details like I just did here. I just told him, you know, my emotions were so all over the place. You know, I had an issue, and, you know, and basically the way I said it, you know, thank God I just didn't, you know, thank God it didn't work is what I told him. I didn't tell him about my brother and all of that. I tried to prepare him for everything he was going to come up against. And, you know, as a parent, that's what you want to do. I mean, we both, his father and I, did so many things to try to keep him safe. And, you know, in the long run, you can do everything and anything. There's no foolproof. There's no foolproof matter. So he did know what to watch out for. The only reason I bring up my suicide attempt in this is because it helped me to understand the turmoil that my son must have been going through inside. And I don't get it, because I was an emotional wreck when I was 14, 15, 16. He was not. He was together and smart. So many people tell me wise beyond his years. I mean, when this happened, it like blew everybody's minds. It was like nobody understood. Nobody could believe it. So it doesn't matter really who you are, what's going on. If it's intense inside, it's intense. And sometimes it just takes over. So I had talked with him about it, yes.
If you're open to it, I'd like to share a few pictures with our viewers, and if you could share what comes to mind.
Yeah.
There's Gary.
What comes to mind is it never should have happened. I feel like he was just meant for so much more. The one way I know I can keep him going on is by bringing up my story, his story, because I mean, God, this just can't happen to other families, other children. I truly didn't know what to do. My world ended that day. It really did. And I didn't know, I mean, until after I went through some therapy and some groups and everything, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was the only one. That picture down there was the first one. He decided to dress himself for his school picture. And I kept telling him 2 collared shirts is not right together. And he kept arguing, Mom, it's my picture. Let me do it my way. So I backed off. But turned out to be one of his cutest pictures. But that when we were, I believe we were in Tahoe with my grandparents, or with my parents, sorry, his grandparents. He was on a rock. That's his shirt from Liberty Nature Center. He volunteered there, actually here in Pulaski County in Kentucky. Volunteered there working with the birds and the falconry. That's where he kind of found his passion for falconry and then pursued it. And got his license in it and everything. Had a mentor, really smart. So I feel like if I can help anybody by sharing his story, that's what I need to do.
Yeah, and that's why you're here. Look at that picture.
I was his first buck. His first hunting trip, his first buck that he got.
First buck.
Yeah, he was super proud of himself.
Take us back to the first time you heard or saw something that concerned you as a parent about his happiness.
I mean, always as a parent, you're concerned about their happiness. But as far as wondering signs or if something was wrong. It was a couple days before he took his own life. He'd been sneaking. He got caught sneaking on his Sony middle of the night, and I took it away. And we kind of had a blowout with his dad and everything the next day. And this was a Monday. His dad stormed outside, and Gary and I kept talking. And I was like, "Baby, you got to talk to me. What is going on?" Because he was just in tears and was having trouble speaking. And I was like, "Talk to me." And he's like, "Mom," he said, "I want to." He said, "I talked to you about 97% of everything." He said, "There's just some things I don't want to talk to my mom about." I get that. Okay. So I was like, well, okay. Do you want to see a therapist? I mean, at the time I worked at a mental health agency. So therapists, counselors were everywhere to be found. And I asked him, and he knew them all. I said, do you want to go there? Would you like to go somewhere else? And he said, yeah, somewhere else. I'd like that. And you could just see the relief. But I had to make sure this was okay with his dad. And I went out to talk with his dad, and his dad, counselors, no way. It's no. Not so many words and a little bit more violently, but it was, my kid's not seeing a shrink to mess with his head. And at that point, I wanted to open my mouth so bad and say he wants to, he needs to. And I was too afraid. I was too afraid to argue with my husband. So I turned around and started walking away. And he said, well, don't you think? And I was like, I nodded in my head and just kept walking back in. And when I told my son what his dad had said, and I said, well, you and I will talk about it, and we'll work it out later. I'll work on him, and we'll work it out later. And that's when I saw the hope go out of his eyes. I just saw him roll his eyes and his head down. So I thought, okay, I'll go to work. The next day, I will talk to some of the therapists there. We'll make a game plan. And that's what I did. I went to work Tuesday. I didn't even wait till I got home Tuesday night. I called him at like 9 a.m. Tuesday morning and, told him what we had talked about, what we planned on doing. And then Wednesday morning, he took his own life. So we didn't even have a chance to try to implement anything. But that was, to me, that was the first time I really saw that I think there's a problem.
Wow. Looking back on that day and that time, what lessons can we learn that can make a difference in the life of someone else?
Never doubt yourself. Never doubt what you're thinking, what you're feeling. And if you think there is something wrong or something not right, then there is. Trust yourself and, ask the question. But, the kids on the video said it. You can't just say, you're not talking about suicide, are you? You can't be judgmental. You got to ask, are you thinking about suicide? Are you talking about suicide? And if you don't even think that's on their mind, you still got to ask, hey, what is going on? Had I gotten my son help that day? Who knows? Even if he just knew we were going to go to a counselor in a day or four, and I didn't know right then I should have taken him there, maybe just that hope that people, children, everybody needs hope. And that's what suicide is about. It's about losing hope. Those would be my biggest lessons to tell people. Trust yourself, see your worthiness, see their worthiness, make sure your children see their worthiness, make sure they have friends, hobbies, confidence, things to build their own confidence. Derek was talking earlier on the video about these art programs. If you can't get your kid into sports, try art, try theater, a job, something that gives themselves, something to build confidence in themselves and who they are. Be open in your families, and not just your families. Make sure your children, your teens have friends, not just social media friends. I'm talking physical, actual friendships, going out and playing. It doesn't have to be dozens of friends and kids. A couple of close friends, a couple of people that they can confide in, a pastor, therapist, counselor, somebody at their school, a teacher, somebody else outside the family that they can count on, talk to. Whew, sorry, so many things I feel like I could say.
Please, no need to apologize. This is extremely valuable, and we appreciate you being here. And I could see and feel just some of the pain that you still have, right? Just shifting a little bit, how have you gone through the stages of grief, and then coming from that moment in time and starting to shift your mindset and begin your empowering actions of sharing your story?
Oh, my stages of grief. It was not boom, 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 right down the row. I was told everybody experiences grief differently. Now, up until this point, I had never lost anybody super close to me. So this was a big whammy. I had no idea how to deal with death, let alone suicide. So my stages of grief were back and forth and here and there, and boom, 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 boom. And guilt was my biggest. Guilt was my largest hurdle. I'm a mom. I'm supposed to, protect my kid. And I think about the things I didn't say, not getting him to counseling, not standing up to what I believed was right. And that was a hard hurdle. I had extremely wonderful people, lots of people helping me. My husband and his family were not them, but my parents, friends, counselors, people I didn't know. I had a lot of people. I had a lot of people really there for me. In the process of my grieving, my therapist said, "Hey, you need to do something for yourself." And I thought, okay, just something to build my confidence back, to feel good about me. And I thought I'd always wanted to take a course on, holistic healing, holistic eating, that kind of thing. So that's what I started looking for. And crazy enough, my path led to the school that I went to, the school where Gina was my mentor, one of my coaches, health and life coach, because I knew from the moment that this happened with my son Gary that I had to do something to stop it from happening to other families, to other children. So I didn't know how, but I knew that was there. And like everything since then has led me to this point. And when I did the health and life coaching, I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I went on to transformational and mastery coaching, which is honestly where a lot of my healing, the completion of my healing and acceptance happened, as I was being taught to explore other people and to help other people with their transformations. It turned into such a transformation of my own. Sorry, this is a big thing, guys. An acceptance of my son's suicide, the acceptance that although my actions may have played a responsibility, and I will share the responsibility, it was not my full responsibility and it was not my fault. That I am a good person, that I am worthwhile, I am worthy. And to me, that was such a lesson that I didn't realize, I didn't know that I felt so badly about myself until I went through this. And I mean, this was such a great experience for me that right then, as I'm going through this, I'm like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is my calling. I am here to help people understand how to feel important about themselves, how to feel good about themselves, how to break free from their yuck, wherever they're stuck. And what if they feel bad? Because when people feel good about themselves mentally, physically, not just people, children, teens, they're not thinking about suicide. They're thinking about what's next in my life. And this is what I want to instill. And this is how I came out of this. I can't attribute my healing to just me. I can't attribute my thriving and my healing to just me. It's so many people that I'm surrounded by, and each step has led to another. The person that, the judge that I ran across, who was suicidal herself when she was younger, introduced me to the QPR training, question, persuade, refer. A suicide prevention tactic. So I've been trained in that, which is a big part of helping me understand. So I've taken all of this, what you've heard, other things in my past, but I mean, if it weren't for what happened with my son, I wouldn't be where I am today. So I mean, in an essence, he's the reason that I'm what I am today. He's the reason that I've become a health and life coach. He's the reason that I now know my life's purpose. I would pretty much give just about anything to have him back in my life. But to be able to take what I know from all of this and help others not end up dead, not end up suicidal or depressed, or even be here for somebody else who has been through a suicide of a loved one. I'm here for that too. If somebody can hear my words, it was one of the very first groups, actually the very first group session I ever went to. My parents went with me, and I was still devastated, a wreck, a mess. And the people, it was a survivors of suicide group, for those who have survived the suicide of a loved one. And another lady there spoke and shared her story. Her 12-year-old son took his life about 8 months before Gary took his. But her telling her story there at that table, in some sixth sense of relief, in my mind, it was like, oh my God, somebody else has been through this before and she's still there. Their family is still there. And I knew at that point that I would be okay. And then I just took steps from then on to make myself okay. And I mean, it's been a fight. It's been a struggle. Don't think this was easy, guys. And this is why I'm speaking here today, because I know it's not easy, but it can be done. The suicide of a loved one can be survived. And yes, you can thrive. You may not see it now. You may not think it. I never would have. Used to feel guilty for feeling good about the things I can do now, because I feel like it was at his expense. But maybe his life was given to save others. So that's how I choose to look at it. And that's what I choose to do with it.
Wow. Dawn, you are, your resiliency and your determination to show up and support others. I've seen it, for a very long time, and you continue to do that. And it's so important. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate you and sharing your story. Well, let's bring on Sabrina for some closing thoughts.
Dawn, you had us captivated. I mean, literally captivated. And we thank you for your courage on behalf of Thriving Women Talk and our network, SIBN Network. We want to express our thank you to you for the courage. We want to thank Gina for bringing you on and for that powerful and empowering interview. So for those of you that are tuning in late, this is Dawn Quigley McClure. She shared a story of actually losing her teen son and how she came through it. And that last couple lines that you expressed, that you are now stronger, you're sharing the message, and that people can heal from it, but it is not an overnight process. There are steps and steps and steps. And thank you so much. How can people reach you, Dawn? Can anybody reach out to you for support?
Absolutely. On Facebook, Dawn QM. You can message me from Facebook. That would be great. I'm also a new Dawn Health and Life Coaching on Facebook. It's got a website, but it's a new Dawn coach.com, but it's just in the start, in the works. I'm more than happy to leave my number with people at the radio station if somebody wants to call. And I want to thank you guys for having me on here and allowing me to share my story. I truly appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Our viewers and listeners can reach out to Thriving Women Talk. That's thrivingwomentmg@gmail.com, and to find out how to reach Dawn. We also want to thank our other guest, if he's still with us, Derek Clemens. Is he still on? We want to thank him for sharing his artwork with us today and sharing his story. And we kind of put those two together intentionally. Dawn, you made a comment about that, how that artwork kind of offsets that as an avenue for young ones, even older ones, to find themselves. So Powering Women, here we are, thriving with you. We've got our tribe here. We want to thank Gina Marie Casano. We want to thank Stacy Peasaw. We want to thank Brianna Johnson, Whitney Hartford. Also, Noelle was not able to be with us today. Genesis Creek, we want to thank her as well, Noelle Ramos. We have had a very touching show today. We want to thank our producer, Daryl A. Johnson, for putting all of this together for us, Dawn, and bringing your story to light. Want to thank our engineer, Alan Chafin, who this just would not be possible without his guidance and direction from SIBN. He's the CEO of that network. So we're very thankful for this show. We hope we have lifted you up and raised you up with this information to how you can overcome these very sensitive and yet prevalent things that's going on in our families and friends and people around us. Join us tomorrow for our sister show, Uncomfortable Conversations, where we'll have a hot topic on conversations in the workplace. Again, we thank you very much for being with us and strengthening us today, Dawn, and leaving a message of hope. Thank you on behalf of Thriving Women. Oh, by the way, before we go, I forgot to tell you, Clubhouse, join us on Clubhouse. Whitney Hartford's heading that up. We're going to continue this conversation. Dawn, I don't know if you're on Clubhouse, but come into Clubhouse, drop in. We always have an after the show outlet for those who may want to chime in on this. Okay, we'll see you on Clubhouse.
Okay.